If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge, and when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the book. Chapter 1. The Two Voices in Your Head. Part 1. Meet Fast and Slow. Imagine two advisors living in your mind. One reacts instantly, like a reflex. The other takes its time, weighing details carefully. This isn't science fiction. It's how your brain handles decisions daily. You'll discover how these two systems shape your choices, from trivial moments like grabbing coffee to life-changing moves like job offers. Understanding their strengths and limits helps you avoid costly mistakes and make wiser calls. We'll see how a quick reaction can save you from danger, but also trap you in poor judgments, while careful thought leads to better results, but can stall progress. Recognizing these voices puts you back in control. Your fast system works automatically. It's why you catch a falling glass before you consciously notice it slipping. Lena used this reflex when her toddler darted toward a busy street. She scooped him up instantly. This quick response evolved to protect us, like jumping at a sudden rustle in bushes. But speed has downsides. Tom bought a limited-time offer gadget online because the ticking clock triggered urgency. When it arrived, he realized he didn't need it. His fast system mistook artificial scarcity for real value. When did your last impulsive buy leave you disappointed? Your slow system kicks in when you focus. It's deliberate, like calculating a tip or comparing insurance plans. Priya used this when her car broke down. Instead of renting the first replacement she saw, she checked 3 dealers, read reviews, and saved $1,200. This effortful thinking solves complex problems, but drains energy. Overuse causes analysis paralysis. Raj spent 6 weeks researching blenders, reading specs, watching tests, only to miss a sale. His quest for perfection cost him time and money. What happens when you overthink small decisions? These systems constantly interact. Fast thinking handles routines, brushing teeth, driving familiar routes, freeing slow thinking for harder tasks. But they clash under stress. Imagine Nia interviewing for a promotion. Her fast system whispered, "They'll think you're unprepared," a fear-based snap judgment. Her slow system countered, "You led 3 successful projects. Present the data." She paused, chose logic, and got the role. Like Nia, you can learn to spot these internal debates. Is your gut reaction helpful right now, or is fear talking? Mistakes happen when one system dominates uncheckedly. Fast thinking relies on shortcuts. For example, we assume expensive wine tastes better, a bias Dan Ariely demonstrated in experiments. Slow thinking can dismiss intuition entirely, like ignoring a nagging feeling about a perfect house until you find hidden mold. The best decision makers let them collaborate. A doctor might sense a patient's illness instinctively, fast, then order tests to confirm, slow. Tuning into both voices builds smarter choices. Next, we'll see why instincts take charge and how to harness or halt them. Part 2. When instincts take over, imagine facing a split-second choice. Your heart pounds, muscles tense, and action feels automatic. This section explores those moments when gut reactions steer us, revealing why our brains favor speed over deliberation. You'll discover how ancient survival tools now shape modern decisions, for better or worse. Through real stories, we'll see when to embrace instinct and when to question it, helping you spot these flashes in your own life. Our brains evolved to prioritize speed. For early humans, hesitation meant death. If Kale, a hunter-gatherer, heard rustling in tall grass, his instant sprint saved him from lions. That wiring remains. Under threat or pressure, fast thinking takes control, releasing stress hormones that sharpen focus but narrow perspective. Today, this shows up as road rage during traffic jams or snapping yes to a pushy salesperson. What recent high-pressure situation made you act before thinking? Consider Lena, an ER nurse. When a patient's monitor flatlined, her hands moved before her mind processed, starting CPR instantly. Years of pattern recognition honed her instinct, saving a life. Here, fast thinking triumphs because expertise turns intuition into precision. Yet identical wiring fails elsewhere. Raj, drained after work, saw a limited-time crypto offer online. His lizard brain screamed, "Miss out!" He invested life savings, losing it all to a scam. Modern complexity, like financial schemes or social media, exploits ancient panic for scarcity and instant rewards. Why the difference? Instincts excel with repeated physical patterns like medical emergencies, but stumble with abstract risks like investments. Biases amplify errors. Dan Ariely's experiments show we equate price with quality, so a $100 bottle of water feels safer than a $1 one, even if identical. Similarly, we favor familiar faces in job interviews, potentially overlooking better talent. When did a snap judgment about someone prove completely wrong later? The key is recognizing triggers. Gut reactions dominate when we're tired, rushed, or emotionally charged, like arguing with a partner. Stress floods the body, muting slow thinking. Notice physical cues, clenched fists, shallow breath, or an urge to decide now. Lena's life-saving move came from calm expertise. Raj's loss sprang from exhaustion mixed with false urgency. Test instincts by asking, is this truly life-threatening? If not, pause. Next, we'll explore how that pause transforms outcomes. For now, reflect. What recurring situation, maybe daily commutes or weekly meetings, triggers your autopilot? Jot down one instance where instinct helped and one where it hurt. Awareness alone shifts control. Part 3. The power and trouble of pausing. Imagine standing at a crossroads where every second feels urgent. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and that inner voice screams, "Decide now!" This is when pausing becomes your hidden superpower. We'll explore how hitting the mental brakes transforms high-stakes choices, from business deals to family conflicts. You'll see real stories where a breath created space for clearer thinking, better options, and avoided disasters. But pause too long, and opportunity slips away. I'll share practical ways to find your timing sweet spot. Ever wondered why some pauses save us while others cost us? Let's find out. Consider Elena, who runs a small bakery. When her supplier suddenly doubled prices, her first instinct was to yell, "Cancel the contract!" Instead, she paused. She slept on it, then asked, what alternatives exist? The next day, Elena discovered a local farm selling flour cheaper. By waiting, she saved her business 30% annually. That pause shifted her from reactive panic to strategic problem solving. Research shows even a 90-second delay lowers stress hormones, letting your logical brain engage. What high-pressure situation made you wish you'd paused? But pauses can backfire. Ben spent weeks analyzing a job offer, salary, commute, growth potential. He drafted endless pros and cons lists while fearing a wrong move. By the time he said yes, the role was filled. His overthinking cost him a dream opportunity. This paralysis often hits when we fixate on perfection or fear regret. Studies reveal that excessive deliberation shrinks our perspective, making mountains from molehills. One trick: set deadlines for decisions. For low-stakes choices like picking a restaurant, give yourself 2 minutes. For bigger ones like investments, cap research at 1 week. How do you balance speed and caution? Start with the traffic light rule. When emotions run high, visualize red. Stop and breathe deeply. Yellow, ask, what's the real deadline? And what's one fact I'm missing? Green, act or decide to wait longer. Another tip: talk to someone unfamiliar with the problem. They'll spot biases you miss. If Elena had reacted instantly, she'd have lost her flour source. If Ben had paused just 3 days, he'd have taken the job. Your turn. What decision feels urgent right now? And what happens if you delay it by 24 hours? Pausing isn't about inaction. It's creating space to ask better questions. In our next section, we'll blend this skill with instinct, like a dancer moving between rhythm and impulse. For now, practice red, yellow, green this week. Notice when a pause reveals hidden paths. Part 4. Dancing between gut and logic. Consider the last time you faced a tough call, maybe a job offer or a big purchase. Your stomach tightened with unease, but the numbers seemed solid. That tension isn't a flaw. It's your mind's 2 wisdom sources talking. This section explores how to harmonize instinct and analysis like a dancer balances rhythm and precision. You'll learn practical ways to validate hunches with facts, test logic with intuition, and adapt your approach to each situation. By the end, you'll turn inner conflict into clearer choices, whether you're negotiating a contract or choosing a school for your child. Take Lena, a graphic designer. Her gut said a client's project would become a nightmare, but the fee was high. Instead of rejecting it outright or ignoring her instinct, she paused. She listed why the client worried her: vague deadlines, a history of last-minute changes. Then she gathered quick facts. She checked their past project timelines and asked a colleague about their experience. Her intuition was right. The client often delayed payments. Lena declined politely, freeing her time for better fit work. How often do you dismiss a gut feeling because it doesn't make sense? Or ignore data because you're attached to an idea? Start small. When you feel strongly about a choice, ask, what 3 facts support or challenge this instinct? If you're leaning on logic, ask, what's my body telling me? Am I tense or calm? Raj faced this balancing act when investing his bonus. His research favored tech stocks, but his intuition whispered diversify. He didn't overanalyze. He allocated 70% based on his analysis and 30% to his instinct, renewable energy funds. When tech dipped months later, his diversified portfolio lost less. This split-test approach honors both voices without deadlock. For high-stakes decisions, add structure. Try the 2-minute challenge. 1. Note your gut reaction, e.g., this partnership feels risky. 2. Set a timer for 2 minutes. List every fact or past experience driving that feeling. 3. Repeat for logic, e.g., their sales numbers are strong. List supporting evidence. 4. Compare the lists. Where do they agree? Where do they clash? This isn't about one winning. It's spotting gaps. If your instinct cites past betrayals but data shows solid metrics, probe deeper. Maybe trust issues need addressing. Kira, a nurse, used this when hiring. One candidate aced the skills test, logic, but Kira felt uneasy, instinct. Her 2-minute list revealed the candidate interrupted constantly in interviews, a red flag for teamwork. She hired someone else, avoiding team conflicts later. Life isn't static. When choices are familiar, like your daily commute, trust intuition. It's efficient. For complex or new territory like a career pivot, lean on logic first, then consult your gut. Ask, if my best friend had this data and this feeling, what would I advise them? Finally, review past decisions. Omar realized his failed product launches happened when he ignored unease for optimism. His successful ones blended market data, logic, with his sense of customer excitement, instinct. He now keeps a decision journal, 1 sentence on his gut, 1 on logic, and the outcome. Patterns emerge fast. What recent choice would have changed if you'd listened to your quieter inner voice? Tomorrow, pick 1 small decision, what to eat, which task to start, and practice this dance. Notice what shifts. Chapter 2. The Invisible Strings. Part 1. The Nudge Effect. Imagine walking into a grocery store for milk and leaving with cookies you didn't plan to buy. Why does this happen? Our choices aren't made in a vacuum. They're guided by tiny environmental cues called nudges. These invisible signals shape decisions without our awareness, like when stores place tempting snacks near checkout lines. Understanding nudges reveals how small changes in our surroundings can powerfully influence behavior, either supporting or sabotaging our goals. By learning to spot these hidden forces, you'll gain control over daily decisions, from what you eat to how you spend money, and design environments that automatically guide you toward better outcomes. Consider how grocery stores use layout as a nudge. When Priya enters her local market, bright displays of fresh produce greet her at the entrance. Research shows this placement increases healthy purchases by 30% because it's the first thing shoppers see. By the time she reaches the cereal aisle, colorful boxes at eye level tempt her children, a tactic boosting sugary sales by 19%. What subtle cues in your shopping route might be guiding your cart? Digital defaults work similarly. When Omar started his new job, his company automatically enrolled him in their retirement savings plan. He stayed with the default contribution rate, not because he planned to, but because opting out required paperwork. Countries using opt-out systems for organ donations see 90% participation versus 15% in opt-in nations. How many of your current settings, phone notifications, app permissions, are running on autopilot? The good news, we can flip this to our advantage. Clara struggled with late-night snacking until she rearranged her kitchen. She placed fruit bowls on counters and stored chips in opaque containers in the garage. This simple choice architecture tweak, making healthy options visible and easy, unhealthy ones hidden and hard, cut her junk food intake by half in 3 weeks. What one environment change could make your goal effortless? Businesses use nudges ethically too. A bank increased savings rates by 40% simply by adding a sentence to statements. Most customers save at least 20% more than you currently are. This subtle social proof nudged people toward better habits. The key is mindfulness. Start noticing patterns. Do you check social media more when your phone buzzes? Buy coffee only when passing that red awning? Awareness turns invisible strings into visible tools. Try this experiment. For 3 days, track how your environment triggers unplanned actions. Then redesign one space, your desk, fridge, or phone, to nudge you toward what truly matters. Small shifts create lasting change. What default setting in your life deserves a second look? Part 2. How choices shape choices. Every choice you make plants a seed for your future decisions. Like dropping a pebble in a pond, one small action creates ripples that spread outward, shaping what comes next. Understanding this chain reaction helps you build positive momentum and avoid paths that limit your freedom. This section shows how everyday choices, like what you eat for breakfast or how you spend your lunch break, quietly steer your life's direction. You'll learn to spot these turning points and make starter choices that lead to better opportunities. Consider Ben, a graphic designer who felt constantly drained. One Tuesday, he skipped his usual sugary cereal and ate an apple instead. That small change gave him steady energy, so he finished a project early. With extra time, he researched online courses, something he'd postponed for years. Enrolling in one class led to connecting with a mentor, which eventually helped him land a higher-paying job. Ben's story shows how a trivial food choice unlocked a career shift. What minor decision have you made this week that could start a positive chain? Choices gain power through commitment. When Priya agreed to water her neighbor's plants during vacation, she didn't expect it to change her life. But keeping that promise made her feel reliable. Soon, she volunteered to organize a community garden. Each yes strengthened her identity as someone who follows through, making bigger commitments feel natural. Psychologists call this the foot-in-the-door effect. Small agreements increase the likelihood of larger ones. Where could a tiny promise to yourself build helpful momentum? Momentum works both ways. Take Carlos, who missed one gym session because of rain. "I'll go tomorrow," he thought. But skipping became easier each time. Within weeks, he canceled his membership. His initial choice, prioritizing comfort, triggered a cycle of avoidance. This mirrors the snowball effect. Early actions accumulate, either creating growth or digging holes. Recognizing these patterns early is key. If Carlos had gone for a 5-minute home workout that first rainy day, he might have maintained his routine. When did you last interrupt a negative cycle? Your environment amplifies these ripples. After Annika rearranged her kitchen to make healthy snacks visible, as suggested in the previous section, she ate fewer chips. But this also changed her shopping. She bought less junk food, saving money. Those savings let her join a pottery class where she discovered a passion for sculpture. Her kitchen tweak didn't just improve diet, it reshaped her free time, finances, and creativity. To harness this power, start with gateway choices that open doors. For example, reading 10 pages a night can lead to finishing books, then joining a discussion group. A 5-minute daily meditation can grow into better stress management, improving work decisions. Set these starter actions so small they're nearly effortless. Once begun, they build self-trust and expand options. Be ready to redirect. When Leo's new coffee habit made him jittery, he switched to herbal tea instead of quitting entirely. His flexibility prevented total abandonment of his health goals. Like a river finding new paths around rocks, adjusting early choices keeps progress flowing. Ask yourself, what's one stuck area where a slight pivot could create better ripples? Finally, review choices monthly. Nina spends 15 minutes every fourth Sunday noting decisions that led to unexpected outcomes. Last month, she realized saying yes to a coworker's lunch invite resulted in a valuable collaboration. This practice helps her spot fruitful paths and dead ends. Your turn. Grab paper and trace one recent choice's consequences, both obvious and hidden. What surprises you? Part 3. Traps we all fall into. Our minds play tricks on us daily without notice. Picture Liam researching cars. He wants an eco-friendly model but keeps noticing articles praising gas guzzlers' power. This isn't coincidence. It's confirmation bias. We unconsciously favor information matching existing beliefs. Liam almost bought the powerful car before asking, "What evidence would change my mind?" That question saved him. Try it yourself. What belief have you defended while ignoring opposing facts? Overconfidence sneaks in too. Consider Priya launching a bakery. Her cupcakes won family praise, so she rented expensive space immediately. 6 months later, empty chairs haunted her. Why? She mistook small-scale approval for guaranteed success. Research shows we overestimate skills and underestimate risks daily. Priya now tests ideas in phases, a pop-up stall before leasing. When confident, ask, what could go wrong? List 3 possibilities. This habit builds realistic expectations. Loss aversion hits hardest. Omar held plummeting stocks for years, fearing the regret of selling low. His $10,000 loss grew to $15,000. Studies prove losing $100 hurts twice as much as gaining $100 pleases. Omar learned to reframe. Is this opportunity costing me more than money? He sold and invested elsewhere, recovering losses in a year. Spot this trap by noticing phrases like, I can't quit now. Pause. Calculate actual costs of persistence versus change. These traps share a root. Our brain's shortcuts evolved for survival, not modern decisions. A grocery store places candy at eye level, exploiting impulse. You skip vegetables. The fix? Design choices beforehand. Meal plan once weekly. Automatic transfers save before spending. Small barriers disrupt autopilot. Real change starts with self-awareness. Carry a small notebook. When frustrated or overly certain, jot down the situation and your reaction. Review weekly. You'll see patterns, maybe dismissing criticism or avoiding risks. One reader noticed she only sought advice from people who agreed with her. Now she deliberately contacts dissenters first. What mental shortcut might your notes reveal? Finally, normalize doubt. A tech team debates project timelines. Instead of arguing, they assign roles. One argues for delay, another for urgency. This red team tactic surfaces hidden assumptions. Next disagreement, try. How would someone with opposite views persuade me? You'll spot biases in real time. Choices improve when we expect our mind to wander and gently guide it back. Part 4. Small tweaks, big changes. Consider the power of a single word. When Lena changed her team's meeting request from, "Can we discuss this problem?" to, "Can we explore solutions?" participation jumped 40%. Why? The first phrase triggered defensiveness. The second sparked curiosity. This isn't magic, it's choice architecture. Our brains take shortcuts, responding to subtle cues in our environment. By altering how options appear, we guide decisions without restricting freedom. Like adjusting a thermostat 1 degree to transform comfort, minor tweaks create disproportionate results. You'll discover how tiny shifts in language, defaults, and routines can reroute habits, boost productivity, and save money. Try these evidence-backed strategies to redesign your decision landscape. Take grocery shopping. Omar noticed he always bought cookies from the eye-level shelf. When he rearranged his pantry at home, placing fruit bowls front and center and snacks in opaque containers, his family's fruit consumption tripled in weeks. This works because our brains prefer what's visible and convenient, a principle called salience bias. What visible cue in your environment currently steers you toward unwanted choices? Defaults wield surprising power. A university switched its printer settings to double-sided as the standard option. Paper use dropped 34% instantly. People rarely change pre-selected choices. This status quo bias conserves mental energy. Apply this. Set automatic transfers to savings accounts. Make your phone grayscale to reduce endless scrolling. Could changing one default setting today simplify a better habit? Language reframes outcomes. A hospital reduced medication errors by 47% when instructions changed from "Don't confuse drug A with drug B" to "Confirm drug A is correct before administering." Negative phrasing often creates resistance. Positive framing aligns with our natural motivation towards safety and achievement. Next time you face resistance, ask, how can I present this as an opportunity rather than avoidance? Routine adjustments compound. Priya felt overwhelmed by emails until she tried response windows, only checking messages at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. This small change reclaimed 8 hours weekly for focused work. Why? Constant task switching drains focus. By batching similar tasks, we reduce cognitive load. What single routine tweak might free your mental bandwidth? Science explains these effects. Our fast-thinking brain, System 1, processes cues automatically, while slow-thinking System 2 conserves effort. Minor adjustments leverage this, making desirable choices the path of least resistance. Test this yourself. For 2 weeks, experiment with one environmental tweak. Move your alarm clock across the room to prevent snoozing. Replace your phone's home screen with a mindfulness app. Track what shifts. Like adjusting sails and changing winds, Small corrections redirect entire journeys. Chapter 3, Betting on Uncertainty. Part 1, Life as a Game of Bets. Every decision we make is a wager. You might not see it that way, but whether you're choosing a career path, starting a project, or even picking a restaurant, you're placing a bet with your time, effort, or resources. Life doesn't offer guarantees, only probabilities. Imagine you're playing poker. Leo, a seasoned player, knows a winning hand isn't certain. He might have good cards, but others could have better. His choice to raise or fold depends on the odds, the money at stake, and his read of the table. This isn't just gambling, it's a calculated risk. What if you approached your own choices this way? Consider Maya, an investor. She doesn't expect every stock pick to soar. Instead, she assesses potential gains against possible losses. When one investment dips, she doesn't panic. She reviews her research. Did new data emerge? Was her initial probability estimate flawed? This mindset helps her stay calm during market swings. In everyday life, Ravi faced a similar test. He debated leaving his stable job to launch a bakery. Fear of failure almost paralyzed him, but then he framed it as a bet. If I succeed, I gain freedom and passion. If I fail, I lose savings but gain skills. He accepted the uncertainty, opened his shop, and though sales were slow at first, he adjusted based on customer feedback. Within a year, his risk paid off. How often do you let fear of the unknown stop you from betting on yourself? The key is recognizing that outcomes aren't perfect mirrors of decision quality. A bad result doesn't always mean a bad choice. Think of Leo bluffing in poker with a weak hand. If opponents fold, he wins, but it was still a risky move. Had they called, he'd have lost. The lesson? Judge decisions by the thought behind them, not just results. Maya diversifies her portfolio because she knows no single bet defines her success. She asks, what's the worst-case scenario? Can I handle it? This builds resilience. Try it now. Recall a recent choice where things didn't go as planned. Was the issue your approach, or just bad luck? Start small. When deciding, ask 3 questions. What are the odds of success? Be honest. Use past experiences or data. What's at stake? Time, money, relationships. What's the potential reward? Ravi did this by testing his bakery recipes at weekend markets before renting space. He treated each market day as a mini-bet to gather clues. Even failures taught him about local tastes. This turns uncertainty into a tool. You collect information with every outcome, sharpening future bets. What's one decision you're facing now? Break it down. What's your best estimate of success, and what can you learn no matter what happens? By seeing life as a series of bets, you move from fearing the unknown to engaging with it. Leo refines his poker strategy after each game. Maya rebalances investments quarterly. Ravi tweaks his menu based on sales data. They all stay flexible, ready to adapt. This isn't about reckless gambling, it's about thoughtful action. When you accept that risk is part of every choice, you build courage for bigger opportunities. Part 2. Learning from losses. Every bet carries the chance of loss, but what if those losses held secrets to your future wins? In this section, we explore how setbacks become stepping stones. You'll discover why missteps often teach more than easy successes, how to tell the difference between unlucky breaks and real errors, and simple ways to mine your toughest experiences for wisdom. Real stories from inventors to everyday people show how honest reflection turns stumbling blocks into foundations for smarter choices. Consider Omar, who invested in solar panel stocks after thorough research. When a sudden policy change caused his stocks to plummet, he felt crushed. Was this a bad decision? Not necessarily. Good choices sometimes yield poor results due to unforeseen events, like a storm hitting during a picnic planned on a sunny forecast. Conversely, a bad decision might look successful through sheer luck, like Lucia betting her savings on a random cryptocurrency that spiked briefly before crashing. The key is judging your process, not just the result. How do you typically react when things go wrong? Do you blame circumstances, or do you examine your own role? James Dyson spent 15 years creating 5,126 failed vacuum prototypes before his breakthrough. Each failure taught him why certain designs didn't work, guiding his next attempt. Similarly, Priya opened a bakery in a charming but low-traffic area, ignoring sales data showing footfall was declining. When she closed after 8 months, she analyzed her mistake, prioritizing personal preference over evidence. Her next shop succeeded by choosing a location with steady customer flow. Both examples show that progress often hides in plain sight within our disappointments. Our brains resist this learning. Hindsight bias tricks us into thinking, "I knew it all along," while ego makes admitting flaws painful. A practical fix? Conduct decision autopsies. After any significant loss, ask 3 questions. What did I expect to happen? What actually occurred? Why did reality differ from my prediction? Write brief answers. For instance, Ken launched a product targeting busy parents but got few sales. His notes revealed he'd assumed parents valued time-saving features most, but customer interviews later showed price was their top concern. This exposed a flawed assumption he could correct next time. By treating losses as data, not disasters, you build resilience. Omar reviewed his stock loss and realized he'd overlooked regulatory risks. Now he checks policy trends before investing. Priya's bakery failure taught her to test assumptions with small experiments, like pop-up stalls before leasing space. What recent setback could you re-examine this week? When you dissect why things went awry without self-blame, you spot patterns. Maybe you rush decisions under stress or overlook conflicting advice. Each discovery sharpens your next bet. This mindset shift prepares you for the next section, where we'll explore how estimating probabilities beats seeking impossible certainties. Part 3. Seeing in probabilities. Imagine facing a big career move or relationship choice. Most people crave guarantees, but life rarely offers them. This section explores how shifting from certainty seeking to probability thinking transforms decisions. You'll learn simple ways to estimate chances in everyday situations, avoid overconfidence traps, and make realistic choices. By seeing uncertainty as manageable rather than frightening, you'll build wiser judgment about job changes, investments, and personal commitments. We'll practice with relatable scenarios and actionable techniques that anyone can apply immediately. What recent decision felt like an all-or-nothing gamble? You'll soon have tools to navigate it differently. Our minds naturally prefer clear answers. We tell ourselves, "This job will make me happy," or "This relationship must work out." But reality operates in maybes, not absolutes. Consider Lena, who turned down a promotion because she feared a 30% chance of failure. She overlooked the 70% chance of success and valuable growth, even if things didn't go perfectly. By fixating on avoiding loss, she missed an opportunity. How often do you avoid risks because you demand certainty? Thinking in probabilities starts with small estimates. Instead of wondering if it will rain, check the forecast. If it says 40%, carry an umbrella. It's a low-cost precaution against a possible problem. Apply this to bigger decisions. Raj considered relocating for a job. He listed outcomes: great fit, 50%, acceptable but challenging, 30%, poor fit, 20%. Seeing this range helped him negotiate a trial period, reducing the poor fit chance. What upcoming choice could you break down into likelihoods? Overconfidence tricks us. Studies show people routinely overestimate their predictions, like being 90% sure of facts they get wrong half the time. Tom invested heavily in a sure-thing startup. Had he asked, "What would make this fail?" he might have spotted market risks friends saw. Humility means actively seeking why you might be mistaken. Before deciding, ask, "If I'm wrong, what would cause it?" Try this practical framework. 1. Define your decision clearly, e.g., should I launch a side business? 2. Brainstorm 3 to 5 possible outcomes from best to worst. 3. Assign rough percentages to each, e.g. 20% profit within a year, 50% break even, 30% loss. 4. Ask, what evidence supports these numbers? What might I be missing? 5. Adjust monthly as you gather new data. Fiona used this when reconciling with her partner. She estimated a 60% chance of rebuilding trust if both attended counseling, 30% if not. This helped her propose therapy without ultimatums, focusing effort where odds were strongest. Where could estimating percentages ease tension in your relationships? Probability thinking isn't about doubt, it's about informed action. Weather forecasts don't paralyze us, they help us dress appropriately. Similarly, assigning chances to career moves or investments lets you prepare for multiple futures. If you expect a 40% chance your freelance pitch succeeds, you line up backup clients. This reduces panic and sharpens strategy. This approach builds resilience. When outcomes disappoint, you review your probability estimates. Was your evidence flawed? Did emotions skew your percentages? Each review calibrates your judgment. Next, we'll explore how adapting to new information, changing your mind, becomes your strategic advantage when probabilities shift. Part 4. The courage to change your mind. Sticking with a failing plan feels safe. We fear the embarrassment of admitting error or the loss of time and effort already spent. Yet, true strength lies in updating your views when facts change. This section explores why changing your mind is a strategic advantage, not a flaw. You'll learn how individuals and companies succeed by staying flexible and discover simple ways to overcome the mental traps that lock us into poor choices. Expect practical steps to build the habit of thoughtful pivots. Consider Elena, a marketing director. She launched an expensive ad campaign targeting young professionals. Initial data showed weak engagement, but Elena dismissed it as a slow start. After all, she'd championed this idea for months. Her team hesitated to challenge her. 6 months later, losses mounted. Only then did Elena reconsider. She shifted focus to a different audience, saving the project. What stopped her from acting sooner? Like many, she fell victim to the sunk cost fallacy, the mistaken belief that more investment justifies continuing a failing course. How much time or money have you wasted because walking away felt like defeat? Organizations face this too. A famous tech company stubbornly stuck with its unpopular smartphone for years, pouring resources into a shrinking market. They ignored user feedback, praising their rivals' simpler, cheaper models. Ego blinded them. Admitting their product wasn't perfect clashed with their self-image as innovators. Meanwhile, a small startup making kitchen gadgets noticed sales dipping for their best-selling blender. Instead of doubling down, they surveyed customers and discovered a desire for quieter appliances. They paused production, redesigned the motor, and rebounded stronger. Both had data. Only one had the courage to act on it. Changing direction starts with intellectual humility. Acknowledge that your current belief might be incomplete. Ask yourself, what would prove me wrong? Make this a habit. For instance, software developer Ben sets quarterly reviews for his investments. He predetermines triggers for selling, like if a stock drops 15% or industry trends shift. This removes emotion in the moment. He also shares big decisions with trusted friends who aren't afraid to disagree. One warned him his can't-miss app idea had security flaws competitors avoided. Ben shelved the launch, avoiding disaster. Who in your circle gives you honest feedback, not just praise? Another strategy involves reframing choices as experiments. A teacher, Priya, worried her students weren't grasping math concepts. Her usual lectures weren't working. Instead of blaming the class, she tested small changes. Group puzzles one week, video lessons the next. When quiz scores jumped with videos, she adopted them fully. Viewing her approach as flexible trials eased the pressure to be right initially. This mindset separates your self-worth from your decisions. After all, scientists constantly adjust theories based on new data. It's how knowledge grows. What belief have you held for years that might need re-examining? Psychological barriers often feel physical. Admitting error can trigger a flush of shame or defensiveness. That's normal. Counter it by focusing on future gains. Ask, if I abandoned this path today, what better opportunities might appear? Remember Netflix mailing DVDs? They foresaw streaming's rise despite dominating their original market. Shifting early let them lead the new era. Their willingness to disrupt themselves paid off massively. Flexibility builds resilience. Each course correction sharpens your judgment, much like recalibrating probabilities after outcomes. Progress comes not from never failing, but from refusing to let failure define your next move. Chapter 4. The Scout's Journey. Part 1. Seeking Truth, Not Victory. Imagine being in a heated discussion where winning feels vital. Your pulse races. You defend your position fiercely, dismissing anything that challenges your view. This instinct to conquer arguments instead of exploring ideas is natural but costly. What if you could shift that energy toward discovering what's true, regardless of where it leads? This section reveals how trading a soldier's need for victory for a scout's pursuit of truth transforms decisions. You'll see how this mindset builds stronger relationships, sparks personal growth, and uncovers solutions hidden by defensiveness. Consider Ben, a marketing director. His team proposed a social media strategy he disliked. He spent the meeting picking holes in their plan, determined to prove his approach superior. Later, data showed Ben's idea would have failed. His team's suggestion performed well elsewhere. His urge to win blinded him to a better solution. Like a soldier guarding a fortress, he protected his beliefs instead of exploring new terrain. How often do you reject ideas simply because they aren't yours? Now meet Priya, a nurse manager. Her hospital faced rising patient falls. Her initial fix failed, but instead of blaming staff, she gathered night shift workers, those seeing the problem firsthand. "I might be missing something," she admitted. They revealed dim hallway lighting during shift changes, a detail Priya overlooked. Upgrading lights reduced falls by 30%. Priya acted as a scout, gathering facts without judgment, mapping reality as it was, not as she wished. Scouts prioritize accuracy over ego. They ask, "What's happening here?" Not "How can I prove I'm right?" The soldier mindset triggers our brain's threat response, flooding us with cortisol. We dig in, ignore counter-evidence, and attack critics. This feels safe but isolates us. The scout mindset engages curiosity. It asks, "What can I learn?" This opens doors. A tech founder, Leo, avoided bankruptcy by surveying customers who canceled his app. He expected price complaints but discovered a confusing interface was the real issue, a fixable problem he'd ignored while insisting his design was intuitive. Adopting this approach has clear benefits. Relationships thrive when others feel heard, not debated. Problems get solved faster when you spot blind spots early. Personally, you grow by updating beliefs with new evidence, not clinging to outdated views. Start small. Next time you disagree, pause. Ask yourself, is my goal to win or to understand? If evidence arises against your view, say aloud, "Interesting, that contradicts my idea. Tell me more." This trains your brain to seek truth, not conquest. What belief have you defended lately that might need reevaluating? Wisdom here links to Kahneman's findings. Our fast brain loves soldier-like certainty, while our slow brain excels in scout-like exploration. Galeff's research shows scouts consistently make better life choices because they adapt. Annie Duke's poker wisdom applies. Bet on truth-seeking, not on being right. As we'll see next, this journey begins with 3 powerful words: I don't know. Part 2. Embracing I don't know. Imagine standing at a crossroads where every path is shrouded in fog. Most people panic, pretending they see clearly while stumbling forward. But what if we saw the fog not as weakness, but as freedom? This section explores how saying I don't know transforms uncertainty into possibility. You'll learn why leaders like Satya Nadella revived Microsoft by normalizing vulnerability, and how scientists make breakthroughs by admitting ignorance. We'll share simple ways to turn doubt into discovery, tools that help you gather better information, avoid costly mistakes, and build trust. Ready to find strength in not knowing? Consider Priya, an engineer facing a production line failure. Her team expected immediate solutions. Old habits urged her to guess, but she paused and said, "I don't know why this failed yet." That admission changed everything. Her team shifted from blaming to brainstorming, discovering a faulty sensor everyone missed. Studies show teams led by humble leaders solve problems 30% faster, Harvard Business Review. Why? Because I don't know disarms egos and invites collaboration. When have you pretended certainty to avoid looking unprepared? Our brains resist uncertainty. Daniel Kahneman's research reveals that System 1, fast thinking, treats doubt like physical pain, pushing us toward false certainty. But System 2, slow thinking, thrives on curiosity. Think of scientist Jonas Salk, who openly shared his dead-end experiments before creating the polio vaccine. His lab notes read, "Hypothesis failed. Why?" This practice of public uncertainty accelerated his team's progress. Annie Duke's poker strategy applies here. Treat decisions like bets. Saying "I'm unsure" lets you gather more chips before wagering. Try this exercise. For 1 week, replace "I think" with "I don't know yet" in emails or meetings. Notice how people respond. Software developer Kenzo tried this when his code caused bugs. Instead of defending his work, he said, "I don't understand the conflict. Help me see it." Colleagues offered fixes he'd never considered. Julia Galeff's findings explain this. Admitting ignorance activates the scout mindset, increasing solution diversity by 40%. What problem are you currently facing where pretending certainty might backfire? Practical steps to build comfort with uncertainty. 1. The yet rule. Add yet to I don't know to frame it as temporary. 2. Curiosity journal. Record daily uncertainties. Why did traffic worsen? And research one weekly. 3. Question prompts. When stuck, ask, What would someone with no stake in this outcome notice? Like farmer Elijah, who avoided planting during a drought despite pressure. "I don't know when rain will come," he admitted, saving his crops while neighbors lost theirs. His humility created space for data. Soil tests showed moisture retention for weeks. Richard Taylor's nudge theory applies. Admitting uncertainty shifts focus to controllable factors, e.g. irrigation. Uncertainty feels like emptiness, but it's fertile ground. Every "I don't know" plants seeds for wiser choices. Next, we'll see how curiosity turns those seeds into forests of possibility. Part 3. Curiosity over conviction. Consider the moment when admitting "I don't know" becomes your greatest asset. This section shows how replacing certainty with curiosity transforms decision-making. You'll discover practical ways to question assumptions, uncover hidden insights, and avoid costly mistakes. Real stories demonstrate how this shift leads to breakthroughs in business, relationships, and personal growth. We'll explore simple habits to make curiosity your default approach to challenges. After Elijah admitted uncertainty about the weather, his neighbor Priya faced a different dilemma. Her bakery's sales were falling, but instead of insisting her recipes were perfect, she got curious. She asked customers, "What would make these cookies better?" Their surprising feedback revealed a desire for healthier options. Priya experimented with oat flour and reduced sugar, leading to a 30% sales increase. This mirrors how Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman describes curiosity engaging our analytical thinking. It helps us move beyond gut reactions to examine facts. When have you assumed you knew the answer instead of investigating? Rigid conviction often creates blind spots. Take Arjun, a tech startup founder convinced his app's design was flawless. When beta testers struggled with navigation, he dismissed their feedback. His team grew frustrated and the product failed. Contrast this with engineer Sophia, who designed medical devices. When doctors reported usability issues, she asked, "What if we completely rethought this interface?" Her willingness to question everything led to a best-selling product. Like Annie Duke's thinking in bets philosophy, Sophia treated decisions as probabilities rather than certainties. She knew even strong convictions could be wrong. How might overconfidence be costing you right now? Cultivating curiosity starts with small daily practices. Try the 5 whys technique. When problems arise, ask why repeatedly until you uncover root causes. A teacher named Leo noticed students struggling with math. His first answer was, "They aren't studying." Asking why 4 more times revealed outdated teaching methods. He then experimented with visual tools, improving test scores by 40%. Another method is the "What If" notebook. Keep a small journal to challenge assumptions. What if I'm wrong about this deadline? Or what if the opposite of my belief is true? This builds what psychologist Julia Galef calls a scout mindset, seeking truth rather than defending territory. Business leaders like Erica, who runs a landscaping company, schedule curiosity hours. Every Thursday, she explores unrelated fields, architecture, ecology, even poetry, to find fresh ideas. This cross-pollination helped her develop sustainable garden designs that won industry awards. Similarly, Richard Thaler's nudge theory shows how small environmental changes spark inquiry. Simply placing a "Why do we do it this way?" whiteboard in your office can encourage team reflection. The benefits extend beyond solutions. Curiosity reduces conflict by replacing debates with joint exploration. When couple Maya and Tomas argued about finances, they shifted to asking, "What might we be missing about each other's perspective?" This uncovered shared priorities they'd overlooked. Chip Heath's research in Decisive confirms that asking, "What if we tried something completely new?" generates better alternatives than default choices. What routine in your life could use a "what-if" question today? Ultimately, curiosity transforms uncertainty into discovery. Each "I don't know" becomes an invitation to learn, not a weakness. As we'll see next, these small moments of openness compound into lasting wisdom, one choice at a time. Part 4. Growing wiser, one decision at a time. Consider how the small choices you make each day shape who you become. Every time you decide whether choosing a meal or changing careers, you gather experience that builds wisdom. This section shows how ordinary people transform their lives by learning from both good and bad choices. You'll discover practical ways to turn decisions into stepping stones for growth, no matter the outcome. Leo started a bakery after years in accounting. His first location failed within months. Instead of giving up, he asked, "What did this teach me about customer needs?" He noticed families avoided his shop because parking was scarce near downtown. Leo moved to a neighborhood plaza, added online ordering, and tracked popular items. Within a year, his sales doubled. His failure became valuable data. What recent setback could you reframe as useful information? Research shows people who reflect on decisions gain sharper judgment over time. Take Clara, a nurse who hesitated during a critical emergency. Later, she practiced quick simulations with colleagues to build confidence. When a similar crisis occurred, her training kicked in. She saved a patient because she'd transformed past uncertainty into preparation. Wisdom grows through consistent review. After successful projects, software developer Raj spends 10 minutes noting what worked. When a product launch flopped, he compared it to past wins and realized he'd skipped user testing. Now he runs small experiments for every feature. This habit turned his team's 60% failure rate into 85% success. How might 5 minutes of weekly reflection change your results? Consider Elena, who bought a costly car on impulse. When repairs drained her savings, she created a 24-hour rule for big purchases. Now she sleeps on decisions and considers 3 alternatives. Her financial stress dropped dramatically. Small adjustments like this compound. Studies find that documenting choices and outcomes for just 1 month improves foresight by 30%. Moments of doubt often spark growth. When Ben's restaurant nearly closed during a supply shortage, he questioned his rigid menu. He tried flexible chef's choice meals based on available ingredients. Customers loved the surprise element. His adaptability turned a threat into a signature offering. Your decisions write your story. Each choice, even choosing curiosity over frustration in traffic, builds self-awareness. What if you saw today's toughest choice as practice for future wisdom? Chapter 5. Everyday Decisions. Extraordinary Results. Part 1. Turning Awareness into Action. You've learned how your mind works when making choices. You know about quick impulses and slower, thoughtful thinking. You've seen how hidden biases can push you off course. But how do you turn this knowledge into real change? This part shows you exactly how to move from seeing your patterns to shifting them. We'll explore simple, proven ways to bridge that gap using real stories and practical steps you can start today. You'll discover how small actions build powerful habits and how setting clear intentions makes change stick. Let's make your new understanding work for you. Leo understood his tendency to buy gadgets on impulse. He recognized the quick thrill of a new purchase, often followed by regret. Knowing this pattern didn't automatically stop it. One Tuesday, after spotting a flashy new tablet online, he paused. He remembered his plan: wait 24 hours before buying anything over $100. He closed the tab. The next day, the urge was gone. Leo didn't just know about delaying gratification, he used a concrete rule to act on that knowledge. What's one small purchase rule you could set for yourself right now? Intention alone is rarely enough. Priya wanted to improve her eating habits. She knew sugary snacks were a problem but kept reaching for them at 3 p.m. Instead of relying on willpower, she changed her environment. On Sunday, she washed and chopped vegetables, placing them at eye level in her fridge. She put the cookies in a hard-to-reach cupboard. Come Tuesday, when tiredness hit, the carrots were easy, the cookies less so. She made the better choice effortless. How could you make your desired action the simplest option available? Big changes start with tiny, consistent steps. Miguel felt overwhelmed saving for a house. The goal seemed too distant. He started by saving just $5 every morning by skipping his fancy coffee. He used a simple app to track it. Seeing that small amount grow daily built his confidence. After a month, he added another small step, rounding up card purchases to save the change. These tiny actions, done consistently, created momentum. Within a year, he had a solid starter fund. What's one micro-action you could take daily toward a goal? Setting a clear intention acts like a roadmap. Consider Fatima. She often agreed to extra work projects, then felt stressed and resentful. She decided her intention was, protect my time for family and rest. Before her next meeting, she wrote this down. When her manager asked for a rush job, Fatima paused. She remembered her intention and said, I need to check my current commitments first. This simple pause, guided by her written intention, helped her choose differently. Could you write a one-sentence intention for an area you want to change? Putting this into practice is straightforward. Try this exercise today. Choose one routine decision point, maybe your morning routine, lunch choice, or evening wind-down. For the next 3 days, consciously apply one piece of your decision knowledge at that moment. If you know you rush, force a 2-minute pause. If you know you default to the easy option, explore one alternative. Record what you did differently and how it felt. Like Maya, who realized she always scrolled news before bed, making sleep difficult. She placed her phone charger outside the bedroom for 3 nights. The first night was hard, but by night 3, she read a book instead and slept better. Small experiments build lasting change. Which single decision point will you experiment with this week? Follow-through thrives on immediate, visible action. James knew he procrastinated on important emails. His insight? He felt overwhelmed by long replies. He committed to replying to one important email within 10 minutes of reading it, even if just to say, "Received, I'll give this proper thought by Friday." This tiny action broke the paralysis. The email was no longer hanging over him. His stress dropped and his reputation improved. What small, immediate action could diffuse a recurring point of stress for you? True change happens when awareness meets these small, repeated actions. Each intentional choice, no matter how minor, reshapes your path. The gap between knowing and doing closes one deliberate step at a time. Part 2. Building better habits. Our daily lives are shaped by countless small actions repeated until they become automatic. These routines can either lift us toward our goals or quietly hold us back. Consider Ben, a graphic designer who dreamed of running a marathon. Each morning, he'd wake up intending to jog, only to scroll through social media until it was too late. His habit loop, phone alarm, scrolling, routine, distraction, reward, kept him stuck. But when he placed his running shoes next to his bed the night before, that small change became a visual nudge. The next morning, seeing the shoes shifted his routine. He put them on first. Within weeks, he progressed from walking around the block to regular runs. What tiny shift could disrupt a habit holding you back? Habits form through a simple 3-part cycle: trigger, action, and reward. To change them, start by spotting the triggers. Maya, a teacher, noticed her afternoon chocolate cravings always hit after grading papers. Trigger. Instead of resisting, she replaced the candy with a brisk walk outside. New action, which still delivered a mood boost. Reward. This routine swap strategy works because it satisfies the same underlying need, like stress relief, without fighting willpower. How might you identify the real need behind one of your habits? Building new habits works best when we start absurdly small. Aiming to read more? Commit to 1 page nightly. Want to meditate? Begin with 3 breaths. These micro habits feel effortless, making consistency easier. When software developer Liam decided to learn coding after work, he started with just 5 minutes daily. Over time, this expanded naturally into hours of focused practice. Pairing habits also helps. After I pour my coffee, existing habit, I'll write one work priority, new habit. This stacking technique anchors new routines to established ones. Tracking progress is crucial. Use a basic calendar. Mark an X each day you complete your habit. Seeing the chain grow creates momentum. Breaking it feels like losing a hard-earned streak. Free apps like Habitica gamify this with points for consistency. Or try the paperclip method. Move 2 clips from one jar to another when you finish your habit. Visual progress reinforces commitment. When nutritionist Rosa tracked her water intake this way, she doubled her daily consumption in a month. Habits thrive when linked to deeper values. Ask yourself, does this habit move me toward who I want to become? Ben's running mattered because he valued health for his young daughter. Maya's walks connected to her belief in self-care. When actions align with purpose, motivation shifts from fleeting willpower to lasting identity. One client, a retired veteran named Arjun, started gardening not just for vegetables, but to honor his belief in sustainability. His harvests grew alongside his sense of purpose. These small, repeated choices accumulate into extraordinary results, transforming not just what we do, but who we are. Next, we'll see how others turn such habits into life-changing decisions. Part 3. Stories of smart choices. Consider how small choices shape entire lives. This section shares real stories of ordinary people facing crossroads, in careers, health, and relationships who applied simple decision-making tools to create extraordinary change. You'll see how recognizing biases, weighing options clearly, or shifting perspective transform their paths. These aren't tales of luck, but of deliberate steps anyone can replicate. As you read, think about your own unresolved decisions. What might shift if you approach them with these practical strategies? Take Lena, a graphic designer feeling stuck in her job. She dreaded Mondays, but feared quitting without a perfect backup plan. Her breakthrough came when she listed alternatives beyond just stay or leave. She considered freelancing, shifting industries, or even part-time work while retraining. Inspired by the Heath brothers' advice to widen options, Lena then rated each choice against her core needs: creativity, stability, and growth. This simple table exercise revealed freelance work best balanced her risks and values. Within a year, she doubled her income while regaining passion for design. What alternatives might you be overlooking in a current dilemma? Carlos faced a health wake-up call when his doctor warned of diabetes risk. He knew he should exercise but kept postponing it. Instead of relying on willpower, he used nudges from Thaler and Sunstein's research. First, he placed his running shoes by the bed each night. Then he scheduled walks with his neighbor Tuesdays and Thursdays, making accountability automatic. By framing exercise as probabilities, Annie Duke's approach, he focused on consistency over perfection. Even 70% effort lowers my risk. Small changes led to 25 pounds lost and stabilized blood sugar. How could you redesign your environment to support a tough goal? Priya struggled with a draining friendship. Her friend often canceled plans last minute, leaving Priya resentful but guilty about confronting her. She applied Julia Galef's scout mindset, asking, "What would I advise someone else here?" Priya realized she'd ignored red flags to avoid conflict. She prepared a calm conversation using I statements. "I feel hurt when plans change suddenly. Can we find solutions?" The talk deepened their trust, and when the pattern continued, Priya respectfully distanced herself without guilt. Her stress plummeted. When emotions cloud your judgment, what would an impartial observer suggest? Each story highlights a key tool. Lena broadened her options, Carlos tweaked his environment, and Priya sought objectivity. Like Arjun's gardening habit earlier, their choices compounded into life-altering results. Now consider one decision you've postponed. What tiny step could you take today toward clarity? Part 4. Your next step forward. Making decisions shapes our lives, but the real power lies in moving forward with what you've learned. You've seen how Lena opened her mind to new job possibilities, how Carlos rearranged his kitchen to support healthy eating, and how Priya gained perspective by imagining a friend's advice. These aren't just stories. They're proof that simple tools create lasting change. Now, imagine applying these approaches to your own unresolved choices. What small shift could transform your stress into progress? This chapter has equipped you with practical ways to act, build habits, and learn from others. Your journey continues right where you are. Think of Jasmine, a graphic designer who felt stuck between freelance work and a corporate job. After reading about Carlos's kitchen changes, she realized her chaotic workspace drained her focus. She spent 10 minutes clearing one desk drawer, a tiny act that sparked bigger changes. Within weeks, she created separate zones for different projects, making it easier to choose priorities daily. Like Lena's expanded job search, Jasmine then listed all options beyond her either-or trap, discovering part-time teaching roles she'd overlooked. Her breakthrough came when she asked herself, "If my best friend described this situation, what would I tell them?" That objectivity helped her blend freelancing with teaching art classes. Mistakes will happen. They're part of growth, not failure. Rohan, a retail manager, once rushed into hiring a charismatic candidate who later caused team conflicts. Instead of self-blame, he revisited Priya's story about calm conversations. He examined what went wrong. He'd ignored warning signs because he liked the candidate's enthusiasm. Next time, he involved his team in interviews and created a simple scoring system for skills versus personality fit. His hires improved dramatically. When have you treated a poor decision as a lesson rather than a defeat? Keep 3 principles close. First, nurture curiosity. Ask, "What's one thing I haven't considered?" when choices feel limited, just as Lena explored unfamiliar career paths. Second, stay flexible. Carlos didn't overhaul his diet overnight. He started with fruit bowls instead of cookies. Small adjustments build momentum. Third, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge that uncertainty is normal. Even experts like weather forecasters update predictions as conditions change. If Jasmine had beaten herself up over initial indecision, she'd never have found her hybrid career path. You now possess tools to turn daily decisions into stepping stones. Start today. Pick one postponed choice, maybe a budget tweak or a difficult conversation, and take a single action within 5 minutes. Could setting a phone reminder help? Could discussing it with a colleague provide clarity? Each step builds confidence, like tending a garden. Water one plant, and over time, the whole space blooms. Your ordinary moments hold extraordinary potential. What will you cultivate next?